You're welcome. Some minutes from previous meeting, May 6th. We made the one change, which I guess got changed, and that's any comments or corrections?
Two small changes also, which Nancy was gonna take care of.
Let's get on to.
I didn't have any changes, I like the affairs.
So I'll make a motion to approve.
Sure. Okay, I'll second.
John?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
PJ?
Yes. We gotta open some bids in a few minutes here, so pending that, let's move into our regular scheduled report, which is Chief John Phillips from the Volunteer Fire Department.
Year-to-date calls, 226. Last year at this time we were at 246. We're roughly down 20 calls. So I have the report.
That's good news when you're down calls, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Any questions regarding fire service from anyone? Okay. Well, John, that puts you on deck, so.
Well, a couple things here. Guys are working in the cemeteries and getting ready for Memorial Day. Things look pretty good, actually. We're not having to haul out the truckload after truckload of truckload that we used to a few years ago. One of the things that's, we're getting ready to the time, and we have estimates already for the asphalt to put a layer of asphalt into the west roads in Shadyside. So we're gonna contact Todd and make sure we can get on the schedule with him, and we'll do the same thing we did here. I think you'll have to agree that's really worked out well, and very, very good. Barry did a nice job. So we'll try to do 10 feet, which is almost grave to grave. They didn't leave enough room when they laid that cemetery out for a proper road. But and I'm not talking about the east sections, just the west loop. So
The chip's still decent on the one side, isn't
yeah,
it?
it's I'd say we get it next year maybe. The western roads get more traffic in there. We need to do the same thing we did here because they were rutted. It's rutted, and so we actually went in and leveled it off a little bit and then put the asphalt down. It's got a little bit of a base there, and
Now, we're gonna have to put pipes in there. If this ditch reworking happens, right?
well, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the culverts reach, right?
There is a pipe underneath there already, under the curb.
Yeah,
Yeah, there is a pipe under, you
county
can't
does
see it,
this.
it's buried,
Okay.
but it's probably plugged up.
Probably.
So anyway, that's one of the projects that we'll do, and JFD, I think they're doing a phenomenal job for us.
They are, they're on top
Maintenance
of it.
wise, and so that's worked out well. We do have a couple things here for in a few minutes, but we bid opening, of course, the crack seal, and then also we got the engineer's recommendation back on the Troy project on Snow Road, and so when Nick brought that by actually, and they recommended to stick with the low bidder. They vetted them, and he's an ODOT certified contractor, and so I think there's going to be more for us to do until they get those culverts in, and then we'll ditch the culverts on our side. We've already cut the trees down on our side. Troy's got a fair amount of trees to cut down on their side. And then we have that for paving, next year or the year after. So,
You'll
that
make-
project, and as you see, it came in under the estimate, so that kinda worked out well. We're gonna end up doing both of these projects for less than we had budgeted. So,
Don't make a motion?
pardon?
Don't make a motion?
Well, yeah, we can make a motion to, award the contract for the snow road drainage improvements, TR 145C, to United Earthworks LLC from Deerfield, Ohio, for $85,626.85.
Second.
John,
Yes.
Mike? Yes. EJ?
Yes. We're the primary
We-
contractors.
Correct, we're the primary contractor. When Nick brought these papers here, I was here, so I just had Nancy send them to each of the Troy trustees. So they got those last week. And what we will do is we'll do this project, and then when this is done, Fred will bill Troy Township for 50% of this contract.
I just have to assume that since Troy uses the same engineer as we do, that they're on board with awarding this.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's just say this, we sent them a letter, each one of them, saying what our intent was, and nobody's ever, nobody responded, so.
Always good to go with a little bit, so
Ken was there during the whole process, so I'm gonna just say yes on their behalf.
Just move ahead with that. All right, it's, that clock says it's 7:40, and Fred's got the bid buster handy over there, see, so. We're gonna open some crack seal bids. Nope.
First bid is from PS Construction. And the bid amount is $48,615.75. Their bond is attached. Bid bond is attached. Next bid is from Asphalt Fabrics. Bid guarantee bond is attached. Okay. The total bid amount from Asphalt Fabrics is $61,100. final bid is from American Pavements Incorporated. Their bid bond is attached. They didn't give me a total amount.
Did they give you the line by line per road?
Gave me line by line.
Yeah. And John, we have the right to edit that. as-
Well, that's, what
yeah.
we're gonna have to do is go over these, and then Emmerich and I'll pick out the roads that we're gonna actually do. And, if, you know, per the road program, we budgeted 50,000. And so we will attempt to, do as many roads as possible, in the budget.
So this guy that bid it line by line, but not a total, but
He's
it's
fine.
all right, he's in.
He's
in
fine,
the game
yeah.
there.
That's fine.
Wow.
We'll add up the total price for the roads we're gonna do, and we may do them all, or we may, you know,
Yeah.
it's encouraging that, now they've worked for us before, and they're under the budget, so,
Oh, yes, yeah. Is this the latest one, is that, what was it, American what?
American Pavements Incorporated.
Have they been anything before?
they did, but they've generally, been really very high. It's a pretty competitive number they threw at us this time, so.
All right. Very good.
I'm gonna go back to just to alert you guys, you know, we had we've been looking to replace that loader for a bit here now, and, we're homing in on some things. Our goal is to have something before the snow season. And, just to get, we have a couple good, the guys have spent some time, and, there's a couple good possibilities of even buying a new one. So they're kind of negotiating, trying to knock it down below the state numbers, and, to let you know where we are.
This is the articulated loader that we
Right,
load
the
load salt
articulated
with.
loader, doing about the same size, but 35 years newer.
How long has that been here?
We bought that about 13 years
Is it-
ago,
is it
and
that
it
long?
was 29 years old. We did, I think we spent about $2,000 or $2,500 on it. And so it served us very well. One of the problems is, though, it's very slow. And, you know, you get up to something of this age, it's gonna be a paperweight. Right now, we can still sell this thing. And somebody will buy it. It's remarkably, you know, we hammered out all the dents and everything when we got it. So I think when we subtract what we get for this, we'll have a loader at a pretty good number. So, hopefully, we're not that, we won't get rid of that until we have something sitting in here to replace it, but we do have that truck and a couple of pieces of miscellaneous stuff that's, old spreaders and whatnot that we wanna list on Gov Deals, and I'm kind of impressing them to, let's get that list together and let's get those up on Gov Deals and just, free up the space, so to speak. But right now, that, the numbers that we're seeing for that truck are pretty good. So, I think
Mitigate some of the cost of new loader.
we're gonna put, yeah, and these guys are anxious to sell these, right now, we've got two guys that are loader-wise, they're very anxious to sell them. So, they're checking them, how they like to really go over every nut and bolt and how this sealed and that sealed, we're gonna run it in salt, so, it has to be well-made and, well-painted and all that kind of stuff, so.
Just the amount of time it saved us over the years when we were loading it with the front end loader.
Unbelievable,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the wear on the back.
Yeah, we only have $12,000, $13,000 tied up in that loader, so.
We amortize that over the time we've owned it,
Yeah,
$1,000 a year.
$1,000 a year, where could you get that better, so anyway, just FYI, keep that in the back of your mind, and we also have cleanup day coming up on, let's see, first Saturday of June.
Yeah,
June
June first.
first.
It's the first Saturday.
So that'll be 8 to 1 and
8 to 12.
No, it's 1.
We moved to 1?
No, it's always been 1.
I thought we moved it back to 12.
That was when we had, Kendra had that party.
Yeah, she did have
And
some.
that, but it's been 1 all the
That's
other
right.
years, unfortunately.
Sure you don't wanna go to 12?
Well, I voted, if you remember, I mentioned that 12 and Emmerich corrected us. Or Emmerich tried to change it to 12 rather.
Was it last year I had to be the hammer because somebody kept coming back with more stuff? And I
Yeah.
said, no, we're closed this time.
Yeah, it's unfortunately you have scofflaw.
If we do it till 12, then we may be out of there.
Out of there by 2, yeah,
Yeah.
right. So, we are gonna do something a little different here in trying to schedule the bins to, prevent the midnight dumpers. And, we will be leaving the lights on all night. And,
That way they can see what they're throwing away.
we can see what they're throwing away. There you go, Mike. I yield the rest of my time.
Okay, yeah, just got a couple of things. Just want to thank Nancy and Emmerich and the chief for taking care of that Tarma appraisals. Talked to Nancy today, she said that went very well, pretty smoothly for the amount of buildings they had to do, so hopefully we should have the results from that in the next month or so.
John, did they just have a format that they filled out, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, one of the things that we did catch is they still had our antenna tower listed,
Uh-huh.
but she's gonna make sure it gets removed.
Yeah, that's good, because it's, those doesn't.
So it paid off, having a review.
Good. Okay. And next item I had, you had to follow me on this one. Corner of my street, which is basically the southwest corner of 422 and Munn. There's a culvert pipe that goes from the last property over to the southeast side of Munn. And we've got a lot of flooding in my one neighbor's yard. And he's kind of said, the pipe on the other side is blocked. And so I asked Emmerich to look into it. Emmerich concurs that there's needs to be cleared out there. Munn Road is a county road, so we kind of figured county should be responsible for it.
Yeah.
And apparently, and they didn't know who owned the property on the other side, allegedly. So anyway, Jane looked that up. The state of Ohio owns that property. An easement on that property that covers that whole corner, I think, all the way to, some portion of it all the way to Taylor, Maine. So, the county's contention is, since it's state property, they can't go on it to clear it. The state's contention is that the county has a road easement, therefore they should be responsible for it. So, I've got I think Emmerich's getting in writing from the county what their position is. He's waiting for in writing from the state what their position is.
I know one party who isn't responsible.
Us.
Us.
So, you know, I mean, my thought is that, okay, if the state owns the property, the county should still have the right of way. For the road.
I don't know, Mike. I don't know how that,
Well, I'm gonna see what the state says.
yeah. I can just tell you that, remember when I took that bucket of stuff out across from Mary Ann Hughes?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that solved that for my involvement. You know, that guy was young. Now, we could easily take the cruise air. But I'm not gonna get
No, I
that.
wouldn't do it
I'm
either.
not gonna get
Yeah,
that.
then we
chance.
get mugged by the state and the county.
The state is miserable to deal with and stuff like
Exactly.
this.
So-
I'm just saying, it's one of those things where Mary Ann called the state for 5 years. And they spent more time screaming at me than it would have taken to fix the problem. So, but I think we need to pursue it. That's been a bit of a problem we cleaned that out back when Gene was here. By we, somebody went down there and cleaned that, supposedly, because the lady who was in the same house at the time was calling us, and then their yard is very low. And it's even lower after they did that work for the interchange.
Right. So, anyway, my recommendation is, we'll wait to see what the state's response is. If they don't respond, or we have, let's say, contradictory responses, we send to the prosecutor's
That's what I
office just for a legal opinion on, okay, you guys give us a legal opinion on who's responsible for this culvert. So, I just wanna keep you up to
Yeah.
speed on that.
Because it's an Auburn resident that's affected ultimately, but with the other two bureaucracies, it's not our job. So, yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
Well, if the state of Ohio owns that property, we should make them Ohio resident.
I'm
Well,
gonna
that
bet
too.
you that was news to the state of Ohio, to these district.
Yeah, they don't seem to. Anyway, that's all I had, I just wanna get that. settled
Yeah,
for
well, we'll get it
everybody.
worked out some way, yeah. Plus, it's been really, really wet. I mean, a lot of people don't seem to understand this, but I think you could tell by the number of lawnmowers stuck in people's yards, mine included. This has probably been one of the wettest ground soaking springs we've had in a long time. And that's exacerbating this lady's problem.
Yeah, he doesn't, you know, I mean, he realizes he's a low spot.
Yeah.
He realizes it's always gonna be wet there, but
Not that wet.
it shouldn't be that wet. You know, if you can do to mitigate it a little bit, he'd probably be pretty happy about it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, Fred, everything I have is on the agenda, so.
Okay, well, we've got your regular reports in front of you. Appropriation summary, revenue summary, fund summary report. Payment listing warrants 5183 through 5199, totaling $246,070.33. Of note is warrant 5188 to Auburn Volunteer Fire Department for $232,000. And I do have a resolution for supplemental appropriations, asking to appropriate $5,000 to the Road and Bridge Fund for natural gas. Read that into the record. Be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Auburn Township, Jogga County, Ohio, that the following supplemental appropriations are necessary to pay for natural gas. $5,000 to Road and Bridge Fund, account number 2031-330-353, natural gas. And that is it. Just need a motion on that.
Motion to adopt that.
Second.
resolution.
John,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
TJ,
Yes.
and that's all that I've got.
Okay, we're gonna go, everything left on the agenda here then is, 208 plan update. There's very little to update beyond. Obviously, the deadline for those urgently needed changes has come and gone. I'm fairly certain the county has not hired a planning director yet, unless I missed something in the last week. Frankly, I think since so many townships are affected by this, it's probably should be addressed through that commission and that director anyway, and I think ultimately that's how that's gonna end up. The pavilion at the park, all that's left is to cross my i's and dot the t's, and Sugar and Water Street Partners is gonna make that application for us, as we did with our resolution at them last meeting. We've got a quote for legal descriptions. We've discussed that some recently here. A zoning district was created before a housing subdivision was created, and properties were sold and changed hands several times on the west end of town. The original zoning district, when that was all farmland, was 600 feet, 300 feet from center line on each side of the road was going to be commercial. And this is on East Washington Street at the west end of town before you cross into Bainbridge. And subsequently, some farms were sold and subdivisions created, and that district was never addressed. And some of the back ends of the parcels off of Indian Hills, the lots to the north, the back end of those lots are technically commercial, literally, legally commercial, but they've never been treated that way. The taxing situation has been residential. It's just kind of became an anomaly that, I know we tried to correct this 6-8 years ago, and we had some turnover on the commission, and somehow that ball got dropped. But we're back to trying to make this correct again. We've got a quote from a fellow that we've worked with a lot, Joe Gutowski. To me, that looks more than fair, $950 to
Yeah,
change
I
that.
think so.
Yeah, more than fair. I know Jane reached out to a couple of engineers, surveyors, and Joe was the first one in with a cost here, and I can't imagine that's gonna get beat. Joe's been real good to the township over the years when issues like this, or engineering on this parking area over here, and I'm gonna make a motion that we go ahead and contract with Joe Gutowski to prepare legal description for general business district from Auburn Bainbridge Township line east to Munn Road, including a parcel at southeast corner of Munn and Washington. He's gonna record, research, and prepare legal description, lump sum $950.
I'll second.
John,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
TJ.
Yes. Mike, I talked to Jane later today, but I know you had a discussion with her about amending some zoning fees,
That is correct.
so go ahead, you take it.
Okay, yeah, what we're looking at is adding an additional zoning fee, and that would be for appeals alleging zoning inspector error.
It's not, if I can correct you, we've always had that. We're just gonna add it to the list.
Right.
Yeah, because we've had that
We have.
for years, 15, 20 years, yeah.
Right, we're gonna add it, specifically add it to our
Right.
fees listing. And that will be $450 plus any additional expenses, i.e. legal ads, etc. Does So I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
John,
Yes,
Mike,
Yes.
PJ.
Yes.
more of a housekeeping.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess this is how it's, other townships are all specifically spell out alleged inspector error, and we have not done that. But it has been used and treated the same way.
Right.
And treated the same way, but now it's gonna be documented. You've got, in your folders, I think, the final Memorial Day agenda. It's kind of been fluid the last couple of years. We're moving what we used to do here at Shady Side, which is the longest duration. It's the reading of the names of Auburn veterans from all the wars. We did it here. We never had seating for people, at least not adequate. We had several benches, but they weren't, it didn't come near enough for the attendance we get. So we moved that portion of it to Adam Hall. That's gonna start at 9 o'clock. We're gonna lay the wreath over here prior to that. We're gonna have the hall set with the chairs. I said 150 chairs, I think is,
Should be adequate.
I mean, we put 50 out last year, and then the scouts and I put the rest of them out because the crowd just kept coming. And we got certainly more compliments than complaints that this was a much more comfortable venue. There's some downfall to it. One is the laying of the wreath at this cemetery was a bit overlooked. We're trying to compensate for that this year and incorporate it into like a pre-ceremony here. Certainly public welcome, but that's all it's gonna be here is the laying of the wreath. And then we start there at 9. And we used to do the parade from the school over to here, which was nice when the band was here in its entirety, when Kenston was, the band was here in its entirety, and that all changed, you know, when school no longer started to bring the band here, so, like, as I said, it's just kind of been
It
fluid.
basically had to do with the end of the school year. And
Yeah, it's been changing, and I'm not a big fan of change on things like this, but it kind of are things that just make sense.
Well, you can parade if you want.
No, actually, some of the veterans said they would like to do a parade from Adam Hall to the cemetery, and then we actually drove that, and that's like almost 2/3 of a mile, and who's gonna walk that, really? You know? So, you know, these are the kind of things that you get comments, and you kind of look at it from a couple angles, and well, this is what we're gonna do, at least for the near future. This year, we're going to, I asked the speaker, the fellow that's gonna do a presentation at Shady Side, where he would prefer to do it in Adam Hall or outside at the podium up at Shady Side. He said he'd love to do it outside, and he said, okay, weather permitting, that's what we're gonna do. So,
So if it's raining, we'll do it inside.
yeah, we will. It sounds like weather's gonna look, you know, 6 days out, it looks like we're gonna be okay on Saturday, but hard telling. But yeah, that is certainly a possibility. And the other thing is you can't do a volley at Adam Hall, even though we're reading the names there, and it always was timely that you did the volley after you finished reading the names. You can't do that outside of the cemetery per, you know, military regulations, so. You know, we're working with what we have here, and I look forward to seeing everybody at that, and where we're gonna commemorate our veterans and on Memorial Day. What's the deadline for the pickup, senior pickup?
Senior pickup is you have to call the Department of Aging and,
It's coming up.
yeah, I'd say you need to call them here, absolutely. But,
Right away.
we got,
Yeah.
it's actually not a timeline, it's a number of pickups,
Okay.
because we only have limited time that we can pick up, and, actually, we're running into an issue this year where the volunteers who used to help do that, they're not there anymore this year. So that's gonna cut the number of pickups down that we can do. I mean, the road guys can only be so many places at once. So, we had, I think, 3 volunteers last year that aren't gonna be there.
Well, once again, that's for large item cleanup day,
Yeah.
which is gonna be June 1st, but if you're a senior, you get your stuff picked up for free. But you gotta schedule that through Senior Center. Department of Aging.
Department of Aging.
Okay.
You
that's
need
about
to
it.
be a registered senior too.
A registered one,
Yeah.
like a legitimate senior, can't be a fake senior.
Well, they give you, somehow the Department of Aging must, it's part of they're running the program, not, they coordinate it, they run it, they schedule it, and I don't know if they get funding based on it, or I don't know anything about that, to be honest with you, but it's their program, we just participate with them.
Okay, any comments? Going once, going twice.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. I'll second that motion.
John,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
EJ,
Yes.
8:07.
Thank you, everyone. Coming?
How are you feeling,